Sanibonani ntambama. Sanibonani ma-graduates. Sanibonani bazali. Nibahle ngo-2022. Bengisacela kwi-group ye-SRC kube khona oyedwa ongibonayo ngokuphuthuma okukhulu. It's agent. SRC members, please, one of you must come to me. It's agent. Ngicela sikhumbule imaski semlonyeni, ivala umlomo namakhala, kithina sonke abazali nabantwana. Ihude sigqokile iyodwa, ilesi ilandile njengamanje. Uma isingena i-procession, sizocela ukuthi sonke sisukume sime ngenyawo, aze abe umphathi we-university uyasiyalela ukuba sihlale phansi. Akekho uvunyelwe ukuthi aphume agoduke, kube ukuthi iyavalwa i-session ngokomthetho umphathi we-university. Ngicela nisigcwalisele amafomu ma-graduates, okumzuzwana nje, sisalindele ukuthi izikhulu ziqhamuke phezulu. Kukhona ama-forms eninawo lapha ezitulweni zenu, nisigcwalisele wona mabili. And then music lo nuzwayo we-choir yethu uyatholakala ku-YouTube. Please download. Nisupport as abantwana benu. Siyacela. Nibahleke. Let's just sit down and enjoy our afternoon. Thank you. ngicela siphakame sebeyangena abaphathi be-university.
Viva As Acting Chancellor of the University of Zululand, I hereby constitute this congregation for the conferment of degrees and awarding of diplomas and certificates. You may be seated. The motto of the sector remains that of saving lives and the academic project. It is with this in mind and respecting the sanctity of life, the proceedings of the graduation have been altered to ensure that we remain compliant with the protocols to address the pandemic. Graduates are expected to have worn their hoods as they approach the stage. I thank you.
Acting Chancellor of the University of Zululand, Professor Mtose, Chairperson of Council of the University, Ms. Kaluza, members of Council present, members of Executive and Management Committees, representatives from Kwanazi Traditional Authorities, and Amakosi, dignitaries and honored guests, staff and students of the university, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly for today, our graduandi. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this event in the almanac of the university. The significance of today's achievement is a mark of perseverance against formidable odds. This starts with schooling. Research shows that learners who make it to higher education represent about 50% of the cohort that started in grade 1. Let me put it sharply by way of example. Of the 1.4 million children who enrolled in grade 1 in 1998, only 552,000 made it to matric in 2009. This means that close to 1 million children are swallowed into this big dark hole every year. Of this, a fraction make it to tertiary. According to Higher Education South Africa, under 1/3 of students complete their studies in regulation time. Our graduation rate of 15% is among the lowest in the world. These statistics are shocking, but they underscore the fact that yours is no mean achievement. You represent a very small minority of the elite and privileged in your society. Today's graduations are significant as they come at a time when the country and the world are grappling with the onset of the devastating COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has had a disastrous effect on teaching and learning. You succeeded despite having to contend with the odds of having to study remotely, disconnected from the lecturers and your fellow students, and still, you prevailed. But I want to cast your achievement differently, to speak about your graduation as the beginning of an obligation. Many of you here are beneficiaries of some form of scholarship or another. Many of you, if not all of you here, succeeded because of the effort of your parent, sibling, teacher, neighbor, friend, sponsors that believed in you. They all took a chance on you. We are grateful that you did not disappoint. As a beneficiary of the kindness of others, expectations are that you will do the same. It is the only way that we can make this world a better place. It is by being generous with our time and service. In doing so, we will be responding to the call best captured by the former President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, when he declared, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." In these perilous and difficult times, when all about us seem to collapse, we have an obligation to keep hope alive and to give hope a chance. This graduation, taking place in the grip of a devastating epidemic, is on its own an expression of that hope. We have lived through it by being responsible, adhering to the medical protocols that were crafted for our behalf, for our benefit. We cannot afford to take that responsibility lightly. We need to keep reminding ourselves that we are the lucky ones. For the grace of God, we were spared. We thus cannot afford the luxury of being disconnected with the great social upheavals of our times. We, who are the children of the poor, cannot and should not shy away from responding to the needs of the still marginalized in our communities. We need to see the patterns and linkages between diseases and poverty, the relationship between social justice and life expectancy, and how the battle is all about dignity and human rights, as Larry Brilliant would put it. It is worth stating that service is at the center of this university's strategic plan. The plan seeks, among others, to transform our university into an institution which, in the first instance, serves the needs of an African constituency and intellectually wears the vestments of its social environment. An institution which responds to the needs of society in which it is located and helps to transform for the better the lives of the people in whose preoccupation and location it is embedded. I would be remiss, Acting Chancellor, if I do not commend faculties and supervisors for sustaining the project of knowledge creation. This year, we have a sizable number of doctoral candidates, 24 coming from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, 7 from the Faculty of Science, Agriculture and Engineering, 14 from the Faculty of Education, and finally, 3 from Faculty of Commerce, Administration, and Law. The deans of faculties, you have outdone yourself and you deserve an applause. As we prepare ourselves for a life of service, let us be inspired by the words of Martin Luther King, Jr. King had to say about service, "If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, if it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep it so well like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep it so well like Beethoven composed music. Sweep it so well like Shakespeare composed poetry. Sweep it so well so that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause and say, here lies a great street sweeper who did his job so well. Thank you very much and congratulations. Acting Chancellor, I now have the honor of introducing our guest speaker for this graduation. And the speaker is none other than Mr. Mugwena Maluleke. Mr. Maluleke's background includes the following. One, which is most important, is that he was first elected as a General Secretary of SATU during the 2009 National General Council. He was re-elected during the 7th and the 8th and the 9th National Congresses. I repeat, he was re-elected during the 7th and the 8th and the 9th National Congresses. That's a mark of confidence. But if you were a student, you would have said you have overstayed your welcome. Mr. Maluleke brings a lot of passion and has served the union for more than 24 years in various positions, from the branch level to national level. In July this year, Mr. Maluleke was re-elected as Vice President for the Africa region of Education International, a global federation of about 400 unions in more than 171 countries and territories, representing 32 million teachers and education employees. That on its own is no mean achievement. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the midst of greatness. Closer to home, he is the convener of COSATU Public Sector Union Joint Mandate Committee. He has served with dedication and determination as a member of the steering committee of the Commonwealth Teachers Group, and he's also a council member of the Valley University of Technology and the Human Resource Development Council of South Africa. He currently serves the public servant as an alternate trustee of the Government Employee Pension Fund Board and the non-executive director of the interim board of the Public Investment Corporation. I will move quickly to indicate something that is very important about his commitment to education. At the moment, Mr. Maluleke holds an LLM degree and an MBA. And as if that's not enough, he's studying for a doctoral degree in labor law at the University of Northwest. Just reading his CV, Acting Chancellor, I was wondering whether I should not go back to school so that we keep on extending the gap. But he has done well for himself. And being a unionist, as you'll see in the program, that he has also published in refereed journals. I'm very proud to call my friend and a comrade, Mr. Maluleke, to the stage to address this august institution.
Molweni, sanibona, karibu, namaste, and good afternoon to all. Let me acknowledge the University of Zululand Chairperson Council, Ms. Nomarasha Kaluza, the Acting Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Professor Mtose, Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Kunene, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, Professor Nomlomo and Professor Siepe, my friend and comrade, all members of the University Council who are present and those who are watching this ceremony virtually. University executives with whom we are captaining this ship are students of the various faculties, management committee members, members of the University Senate, members of the Institutional Forum, our academic and staff colleagues, President of the Convocation, Mr. Nkwanyana, and all members of the Convocation. Donors and sponsors of the University of Zululand, Inkosi Yesizwe, Saka Mkhwanazi, and members of Mkhwanazi Traditional Council. Traditional leadership, Amakhosi, Ondabezitha, officials and elected representatives of the 3 tiers of government, local, provincial, and national. Parents and guardians of Singaye Balomqimbi, university alumni, most importantly, the 2021 graduates in the Faculty of Education. The teaching profession and the challenges of the moment. That's how I wish Vice Chancellor to title this very brief speech. Status of the teachers, school violence, poverty, unemployment, inequality, war, privatization and commercialization, the COVID pandemic, through the lens of teachers' poems. I am awesomely honored and privileged to address this August event of the University of Zululand on the occasion of the graduation ceremony in the Faculty of Education. Allow me to honor and respect the land that I stand on and the ancestors of the Bamkhwanas, as one of them, as Mwanati Mkhwanazi. This is my first address to a university ceremony, so please do not expect to be entertained and mesmerized through academic quotes and bombastic words, because I am not an orator, nor a poet, nor an artist, but I am simply a negotiator for the workers. And negotiators aren't good speakers because they repeat the same line the whole day and sometimes the whole night. And here goes the line. Did you say you are offering us 0.1% across the board? Did I hear you correctly that you said 0.1%, and is that across the board? Oh, if I hear you correctly or I have heard you correctly, you are saying. So this is the line which will be repeated until there is a concession to improve the offer. So we don't have a lot of words. It's just to repeat them until the other party realize that you mean something even if you're not saying it. So that will be the beginning of another repetition, and this line, but this time, is to extract more and more from the employer. So they give you a hand, you go for an arm, from the arm you go for half the body. That's what we call Solomon principle. Cut the baby into 2. That's my job. So today, let me try to provide a commentary to the title of my speech through teachers' poems. The first poem, which I will dwell on, is titled Marked for Life by Jenny Reinhardt. Thin jagged line, almost invisible, because you can barely make it out, throbbing with pressure against the 3rd grade fingertip of your reading, word by word, like a scale, marking the process of your struggle to learn what the words are trying to say, feeling the hurt and uneven texture of the page, blurred by tears, knowing it will always show, forever changing the fingerprint of your school life, and holds on oh so tight, guiding your reading and thinking, practicing strategies, and praising you, causing the scar to fade. Today, dear graduates, we applaud you because you work tirelessly to be graduating and joining us in our prestigious profession, which is at the same time not that lucrative. So you don't hope to be buying a Bentley in the next 10 years, 20 years. Prestigious because you, the teachers, will determine how many doctors, engineers, nurses, computer scientists, chartered accountants, and financial analysts we can have as a country and as the globe. Prestigious because we cause the scars to fade. We build resilience in our children and our communities. We build relationship and trust with our students. We do everything we can to nurture our students to realize their full potential in difficult periods like this COVID-19 pandemic, during wars and natural disasters like the one we have just experienced in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. We produce statisticians and actual scientists to plan the future. Yes, our profession is not lucrative as we are about building the nations. But the status of this noble profession has to change, isn't it? It has to change because, as Jenny in her poem puts it, that teachers are guiding the reading and thinking of our students and practicing strategies and praising them and then causing their scars to fade. So if we don't change the status of this profession, that is the mother of all professions, we are likely to add more scars instead of making them to fade. From our Education International, of which I am the president, as was said by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, I wish to argue that the status of teachers is a perennial concern for teachers, their unions, and the education systems in which they work. This is partly because status is elusive in terms of being measured precisely. This is because status involves subjective opinion combined with material elements such as pay, work conditions, and employment processes. Status is more than trust because it is inherently comparative. Teachers are keenly aware that holding the same qualification or levels of training as other professions does not always buy the same status. A challenge is that teaching is complex work that to some can appear deceptively simple, like is asserted by Grossman and Harness and McDonald in 2009. And this can lead to overlooking the expertise that goes into teaching and facilitating learning. A complexity associated with understanding teacher status concerns how it is impacted by structural characteristics within a given society or system. The characteristics include the level of education, that is, whether we are talking about, for example, early childhood education. In our case in South Africa, we call it early childhood development, or higher education, as we meet here in this august institution. The gender composition of the workforce, individuals' access to teaching qualification, meaningful, continuous, professional development, job security, national policy settings, and so on. All of these play out in context-specific or vernacular ways. I don't posit that these characteristics are one-directional, rather than that they are mutually constituted or entangled with teacher status, such that status is always in a state of flux, of tension, of complexity. Ultimately, status is the sentiment left that these complexes factors play out over time, historically and structurally. And in the moment, which is now, in the present, status is always influenced by intangibles such as trust, respect, recognition of expertise, and so on. Status is historical and contextual, an artifact as much as it is a perception that groups have of the esteem in which they are held. These factors are made more complex in the ways that the global education system folds the nation out, so that each individual school is part of a national or a subnational system as much as they are understood within a global policy moment that transcends the school itself to incorporate national and global policy realities that play out, often in sagacious ways, within schools and classrooms. An example of these concerns datafication, which emerges from national education system engaging in global assessment that enable commensuration, rankings, league tables, and so on, which then go on to influence policymaking, and therefore conditions and expectation at the sub-national and institutional level. These then suggest to a nation's citizens that their teachers are worthy of admiration or condemnation based on a sense conferred by rankings. So, to my colleagues and the university community, I assert that dealing with the quality of education we offer to our students, we have to acknowledge these problems. In addressing the prestige of this profession requires from all of us to understand status through examining processes visible within the education system. In particular, pay, conditions, media, and government representation of teachers, and how employment and systems themselves are organized are considered proxies of status in that they are iteratively connected to the intangibles of trust, esteem, and status. Nowhere is this more evident than in the issue of work intensification and the impact of teachers' well-being. Today, we're talking about mental health of teachers, of students, and our communities because of the pandemic. Even in the years before COVID-19 pandemic, there was a growing awareness that teachers' workloads were becoming unsustainable. This mirrored the growing concern in many professions with the emerging issue of work intensification. Many teachers report feeling swamped due to external factors, meaning they are in a state of educational triage, either red, amber, or green. So the teacher would rank at the level of red because of the workload. The classrooms are ready for your knowledge, my colleagues, skills and nurturing to address the violence in our schools. So you might have read about violence, and I don't wish you that you go to a school and meet the violence that is there, because I have this conviction that this university has equipped you with the knowledge and the skills and the competencies to be able to nurture these particular young people in our country to be able to use problem-solving skills instead of engaging in violence. If we teach these students with love and care, we can address the chronic school violence and eradicate domestic violence as well. So I want to applaud and congratulate the institution for holistically having taught you and empowered you as the students and strength so that you are well as you approach and as you join us in teaching. One, to ensure that you go there and defend democracy and strengthen institutions of democracy. Because that is what is required in the 21st century, where we are called upon as nations and as teachers that we defend our institution without fear or favor. The university has prepared you to confront misinformation. Disinformation lies in the world by teaching the students that war anywhere is devastating and very destructive. The university has empowered you to know that you have to teach them to be great world citizens that must contribute to peace and security. You have to teach them to be critical and look for facts and not resort to conspiracy theories when confronted with skewed evidence like we are confronted today. We call Trumpism era, where Trump has normalized lies and against any form of facts. And when he's confronted with facts, he resorts to conspiracy theories. And many of the people that he's leading believe in that. Just yesterday, the Israeli forces killed Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh when she was covering the raids in occupied land of the Palestinian people. I happen to be fortunate, Vice Chancellor, that I know Shireen very, very well, a 51-year-old lady who was a hope for the people of the Middle East as a journalist. Her scene was to cover the story and the raids that were conducted by the Israeli forces. But the West and the international community is like in a Zoom or an MS Team or a WebEx, where you keep on saying, can you unmute yourself? We can't hear you. Because they will not rate this killing of a journalist like they would have done if the journalist was coming from the United Kingdom or the journalist was coming from the United States of America. They would not do that. Because they said to us at the beginning of this war, and I'm talking to the teachers because you are teachers, you are graduating, that they said war should not happen in Europe, but war must happen in North Africa or anywhere else. Because civilized people don't deserve to find themselves in a war. As if you, who are in the South, you deserve to be in war. War is very ugly. It's devastating. So as teachers, we can't be afraid of confronting the truth and confronting this misinformation and make our children to be brave, to be patriotic, and confront these particular issues. So you are the hope of a social justice in our crazy world, and you can do that if you refuse to be programmed, but remain true to the aim of education. You must refuse not to be professional. You must always protect your professional judgment and your autonomy as the teachers in terms of making sure that you let the student interrogate the facts. We who were trained during apartheid, we were taught to make sure that we reinforce the lie that you seated here can't use mathematics, so you don't need mathematics. We were taught that we must make sure that the status quo of apartheid is there because, like one philosopher once said, bronze and gold are both metals, but they're not the same metal. The gold will always think, and the bronze will always do the hard work. So the separation of the mind and the body was enforced by the apartheid training system, that we always believe that there are people behind somewhere who are thinking for us, and then we have got to do. And we have to change that. You are the beacon of hope as envisaged by Otata Mandela when he asserted that education is the most powerful tool. I don't know how you are going to use the tool, but what I know is that the university has empowered you, has prepared you, has trained you, has educated you, and making sure that you work diligently with conviction and with the highest level of discipline and ethical behavior. That's what the university has done. How you go out there and practice that is in your hands. You have to teach these children about injustice that we see in Yemen. 12 million children going hungry. Nobody says anything about that. South Sudan, 1 million people have gone to Uganda. Nobody says anything about it. Teach these children to know the truth and confront this particular truth so that we are able to change history. Teach them about what is happening in Syria. So many millions were refused migrant status in many of the European countries. Today we see Poland welcoming the Ukraine and separating anybody who looks like Asian people or who looks like me and you. They are blocked. They are not given food. As I'm standing here, I'm still dealing with one of a group of students who have got to come back in African countries. Every day we are negotiating that they have got to cross the borders of Poland and be able to be allowed to come back home. But they're not being allowed because they are not pure nation. So education's aim is to give these critical skills of critical thinking and problem solving and no fear. Telling the truth is revolutionary. Vice Chancellor and Deputy Vice Chancellor. That's what we were taught. So these children are denied the right to education, and we see more billions and billions pumped in one country instead of going to Afghanistan, Iraqi, where children have been displaced, and everywhere else, and are dying of malnutrition. The international community remains muted when these children are reduced to slaves and some of them resorting to child labor. But this same international community will do everything to do the right thing when it matters most to them. The country in the world is waiting for you, my colleagues, to empower students with global skills and values that we see the world leaders protect the planet by investing in climate education. We as the teachers are delighted to welcome you in the transformation of education for social justice by embracing technology in enhancing our teaching practices. We are confident that when you are in doubt of the facts in your lessons, you'll go to the library to research and develop in your students the love for reading and problem solving. This university has offered you the opportunity to learn and grow, so go out there and change our world. Make the world a better place to live by skilling the young people to be lifelong learners like yourselves. Teach them well so that we address poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Build their character so that they make informed decisions about their future. Build their self-confidence so that they can face the world with curiosity and enthusiasm to solve the challenges of the moment and provide solutions for the future. You are marked for life. So hold tight to your professionalism and conviction to build the nation. As you tell your students to color and not cross the line, you tell them to write but not touch the line. So do the same by working with diligence and extreme care, because the definition of teaching is caring. You may want to have a long definition, but there's no long definition that can really dispute the fact that as a teacher, you are a parent, You are in loco parentis, and therefore you care. You will confront, of course, those who use our children as sex objects as you come to our schools. Don't be part of that. Stand firm against it and expose it. Our code of ethics says we cannot have sexual relationship with our own children. They are our children. We must love them. We must care for them. Don't join them. Because this profession is a profession of love. It's a profession of building trust. It's a profession of building communities. So I urge you, my colleagues, join us in the fight against gender-based violence. We have to teach our children in our schools that they are equal they are equal in everything. They may differ sexually, that the other one is a woman, the other one is a man, or a boy and a girl, but they are equal in value. Let's not allow how apartheid had designed the value and designated that there will be more lives that are more important than the others, and the other lives are not important. Do not do that. Go out there and teach a liberating education so that we are able to emancipate ourselves from ignorance. Sometimes not only ignorance, but always hero-worshipping thieves. You are marked for life. We cannot fail each other. If we are marked for life, let's work collaboratively. If we are marked for life, let's make sure that we give the students the experience so that they can interrogate the curriculum, and let's allow them to work in an environment that will really inject in them and turbocharge them to be able to discharge that which they are capable of doing and build this country and build the world. So we urge you to remain highly disciplined. As you join our movement of trade unionists, we always say high discipline, high morale, high discipline. So there's no way where you can really divorce us from our profession that is about discipline, high moral and conviction and hard working. So I want to congratulate you and wish you well in your journey as you join us. We will deal with the issue of the pays, the working conditions together, collectively. Let's not allow anyone to dictate the agenda in our schools, because commercialization and privatization has infiltrated policy-making structures. What we need today is a teacher who will work collaboratively with the other teachers. What we need today are the teachers who will work collaboratively with the management and the unions from the higher level, whether it's this district level or the provincial level. We need to work collaboratively in order to address the ills of our society that I have already mentioned. So the challenges of our profession today is that we depend on you. So become dependable allies as the graduates and be able to offer hope to our communities that this country will shine, that this country will succeed. We cannot fail. Let's not fail each other. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Acting Chancellor, in my introduction, I had said Mr. Maluleke was re-elected on the 7th and the 8th and the 9th Congress of SADC. I'm afraid that he might be elected for the 10th Congress of SADC. But I want to express our heartfelt appreciation for the words of wisdom and for reminding us what the Vice Chancellor, who is the acting Chancellor, always say to the Faculty of Education, that this is a faculty that is the mother of all faculties. But the words that will resonate with me for today is something that you must always remember. It is, they are our children. Teach them well. They are our children. Teach them well. And what you said in a short space of time, it's also to put across the challenges that teachers will face. And I must say, you are an embodiment of what you're saying, that simply holding the same qualification in the world of today that is volatile, that is uncertain and complex, will not be adequate. But most importantly, you also reminded us that we also have a duty. And I think that duty is best sharpened by our own experience, that we must confront injustices wherever they occur. That it is not only about technical knowledge, it is about also the transformation of our world for social justice. For that, I want to thank you. Acting Chancellor and honored guests, we shall now proceed with conferring degrees and award diplomas and certificates. I request the candidates to take up their positions. I shall then call on the Dean of the Faculty to present the candidates for various degrees and diplomas.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I confer the degrees to candidates whose names appear on the program.
Acting Chancellor, I now have the honor to request the Dean of the Faculty to present the graduates to you.
Acting Chancellor, I request you to confer degrees and award diplomas and certificates to the candidates who have qualified for these awards, as well as those persons in absentia whose names appear in the program.
I confer the degrees and awards, diplomas, and certificates on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Doctor of Education.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Education on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Acting Chancellor, it gives me great pleasure to present to you Admire Chibisa, a staff member in the faculty, for the conferment of the degree. His thesis title is Pre-Service Teachers' Acceptance of Learning Management Systems. He was supervised by Professor Sibaya, the co-supervisors, Professor Bosi. I'm going to ask Prof. Sibaya to come forward and read the summary.
The aim of the study was to examine the factors that affect pre-service teachers' acceptance and continued use of Moodle learning management system in the context of a South African rural university. The study followed a quantitative design for which data were gathered using a five-point Likert scale questionnaire. a model with 11 constructs was designed, underpinned by the technology acceptance model, and analyzed using partial least square structural equation modeling. A stratified sample of 325 pre-service teachers selected from a population of 3,250 participated in the study. The results showed that the model explained 66.9% of the variance in pre-service teachers' behavioral intention to use the Moodle learning management system, and 66.5% of the total variance in continued use, meaning that the model is a good predictor of acceptance and continued use of Moodle learning management system. It is therefore recommended for use by stakeholders, and pre-service teachers are encouraged to fortify their use of the Moodle learning management system as they seek success in their studies. Thank you.
Acting Chancellor, Mr. Chibisa.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present Dr. Chibisa to you. Dr. Chibisa, congratulations. Not only Dr. Chibisa is a staff member here, those that were here this morning, Dr. Chibisa, the wife, was graduating this morning. Congratulations to Chibisas.
Doctor of Education, all of them. Are they all doctor? Okay. Doctor of Education, Adimula Olumuyiwa Omotosho. The title of his thesis, Factors Affecting Entrepreneurial Skills Acquisition Among Undergraduates in Selected Universities in South Africa and Nigeria. He was supervised by Professor Gamede, the co-supervisor, Dr. Ulianya. I'm going to ask Prof. Gamede to come read the citation.
The summary of the thesis reads thus. The study found its expression on challenges faced by undergraduate students in selected universities in South Africa on entrepreneurial skills acquisition. The study was a cross-border in nature, whereby 180 third-year undergraduate students were issued a questionnaire, while 6 lecturers were interviewed. Data was collected using both qualitative and quantitative methods. The finding reveals that the students' acquisition of entrepreneurial skills at 2 selected rural universities was constrained by common factors. The study expresses the greater need for an entrepreneurship across entrepreneurship education, as there is insufficient funding for the establishment of skills acquisition center in universities. This practice has affected the implementation and consultation of practical teaching in many universities. The study suggests that Education Trust Fund be refocused into universities in order to foster practical entrepreneurship in their innovative research activities by funding the establishment of the Productive Skills Acquisition Center. The study recommends that universities in Africa need to incorporate entrepreneurial education across all faculties, expose students to on-job training, and engage students to face-to-face interaction with the real business world. The study recommends that university-based entrepreneurial education programs be evaluated on a regular basis to ensure quality and to ensure that students graduate with the hope of getting employment in future. I thank you.
Acting Chancellor, Mr. Omotosho.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Omotoshe. Dr. Omotoshe, congratulations. Thank you all.
Acting Chancellor, Doctor of Philosophy, Curriculum Studies. Different one.
Okay. I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum Studies on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Nozipho Prudence Khumalo, the title of the thesis, Management Model to Strengthen Integration of Information and Communication Technology, ICT, in Pedagogic Practices at selected Zululand district schools. She was supervised by Professor Ngwane. I will read the summary of the thesis. The study aimed at designing a management model to strengthen integration of information and communication technology in pedagogic practices at selected Zululand district schools. The model seeks to provide clarity for school management teams in terms of how they can effectively entrench ICT resources into their pedagogic practices. The management model offers school managers guidelines for how best to fulfill their pedagogic practices, leadership, and management tasks. The study was embedded in the theory of change as a theoretical framework. This study was couched within participatory action learning and action research. A qualitative design research was adopted to uncover, discover, and interpret discourses in a real-world context without manipulating what is being explored. Data was analyzed, presented, and interpreted using thematic analysis. Based on the findings, the study found that there is a need for a management model with 4 components. That is designing action plans, stakeholders engagement, resources build-ups, and capacity building. This intellectual piece provides a comprehensive model which includes a monitoring plan, conducting regular evaluations, accountability, and reinforcing sustainability. The candidate has presented findings in various academic arenas. Acting Chancellor, Ms. Khumalo.
I present to you Dr. Khumalo. Dr. Khumalo, congratulations.
Akangeneke ngoba seyibiziwe.
Well done.
Nonhlanhla Gugulethu Shozi, the title of a thesis, a curriculum differentiation model to meet needs of grade 4 English learners in selected primary schools in Endumeni Circuit. She was supervised by Prof. Ngwane, and the co-supervisor was Prof. Kudame. I will ask Prof. Kudame to read the summary of the thesis.
The study explored how curriculum differentiation model can meet the needs of grade 4 English learners. In order to manage the English language, grade 4 curriculum teachers need specific knowledge. The transformative research paradigm was adorned by discursive dialogues, focus group discussions, observations, and social interactions in the form of social engagement and interactive participation. Thematic analysis was used to analyze the generated data. This study discovered several challenges to grade 4 English language learners in primary schools, leading to teachers to perform and attain at their maximal potential, and these include inadequate professional development, improper curriculum management, insufficient transformational initiatives, and ineffectual policy implementation. considerable threats were identified as adverse to implementation of curriculum differentiation, some of which are large class groups, inadequate learning and teaching support materials, poor time management, and inclusive pedagogical approach. The study recommended that collaboration, developing a monitoring tool and embracing the theory of change would sustain the developed model. The model developed contributes to improve learning outcomes, enhancing school connectedness and encouraging engagement at the grade 4 level primary school in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Acting Chancellor, Ms. Shozi.
I present to you Dr. Shozi. Dr. Shozi, congratulations.
The next qualification, Acting Chancellor, is Master of Education.
I confer the degree of Master of Education on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Situduzo Cyprian Dlamini. Mbekezeli Absalom Giane.
Acting Chancellor, Master of Education, Educational Psychology.
I confer the degree of Master of Education, Educational Psychology on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Ntombizonke Lucia Nxumalo.
Bafunde to be honest. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Education Honors, Education Support Services.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Education Honors, Education Support Services on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Nokuphila Zangesihle Hlongwa. Simangele Khoza. Buyisiwe Mbambo. Doreen Nonhlanhla Mngadi. Nokwanda Dumisile Miyeni.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Education Honors on candidates whose names appear on the program in absentia.
Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Education Honors, Educational Psychology.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Education Honors, Educational Psychology on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Vuyo lwethu Manci.
Thank you. Ayifuni mask. Where's Propert? Acting Chancellor, I am now presenting the Bachelor of Education, Early Childhood Development and Foundation phase.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Education, Early Childhood Development and Foundation phase on candidates whose names appear on the program.
La, eboxini ma, eboxini.
Buthelezi Thabisile Eunice. Giane Nomcebo Candy. Okay, sure. Okay, Nomcebo. Yeah. Siyanda Nhlakanipho Khumalo. Nonkululeko Zethembiso Mqanyana. Sibusiso Nhlanhla Kenneth Mhlungo. Celumusa Mncwango. Vumani Musa Wenkosi Mngomezulu. Philisiwe Nolwazi Mthimkhulu. Silungile Thobekile Ndlovu. Mbusiseni Samkelo Ntanzi. Khanyisile Nxumalo. Phepha lakho leli. Hamba kumela. Zanele Sibiya. Princess Ayanda Simelane. Nokuphila Pretty Xolile Sithole. Xolile Phindile Tembe. Sweetness Phumzile Chambi. Nokwanda Xulu. Ntombi futhi Khethiwe Zikhali. Thandu Xolo Zondo. Halala Zulu. Lungile Nompumelelo Zulu. Gladys Nomthandazo Zulu. Zethu Eunice Zungu. Silindile Sinethemba Zwane.
Thank you, Lizzie. Yes, thank you. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Education, Intermediate and Senior Phase.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Education, Intermediate and Senior Phase on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Zethemba Ndoda Chili. Nondumiso Pretty Kumete. Nontsigelelo Dorothy Kumete. Then a box in and wait. Mana kancane. Princess Spesihle Khanyile. Zama Prudence Kumalo. Zanele Victoria Kuzwayo. Simpiwe Sibongayena Ndabenhle Manzini. Ayanda Masoga. Ndumiso Praiseworth Mkhize. Nontobeko Nelisiwe Mkhize. Zinzile Nothile Mkhize. Nontokozo Smangele Mkhwanas. Primrose Mlalazi. Tabile Mthethwa. Inside. Asanda Mtolo. Langa Sithandiwe Mtshali. Kosinathi Vukile Phaphamani Mzobe. Lungile Ntokozo Ndebele. Kululeko Ndlovu. Nosipho Hlengiwe Nomathemba Ndwandwe. Nokubonga Sebenzile Ngema. Sakhile Bongokuhle Ngema. Nhlanhla Ntando Ngubane. Thanduxolo Wiseman Nhleko. Nontobeko Sindiswa Ntombela. Siboniso Phiwa Inkosi Ntshakala Ntombenhle nokuphiwa Ntuli. Inside the box. Princess Zamokuhle Ntuli. Nontobeko Amanda Nyawo. Siphiwe kuhle Phakamile Nomfundo Nzama. Nomzamo Mandisa Shezi. Kosingimele Nomcebo Zondo. Sindiswa Thaini Zungu.
Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Education, Intermediate Phase Teaching.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Education, Intermediate Phase Teaching on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Nokwanda Biela. Wait. Londeka Vuyiswa Buthelezi. Slungelo Buthelezi. Thandoluhle Lumkile Buthelezi. Sinenhlanhla Millicent Cebekhulu. Kethukuthula Cedric Cele. Zanele Pretty Chirwa. Okay. Halalsani Bongumusa Dlamini. Amanda Dlamini. Misiwe Emihle Dlamini. Kosenhle Dlamini. Nontobeko Princess Dlamini. Sfundo Simpiwe Dlamini. Nomagugu Dlomo. Smiso Perfect Dlomo. Amahle Dubula. Thandeka Simpiwe Dumakude. Nomthandazo Gwabaza. Ndumiso Gina. Anele Gumede, Luyanda Handsome Gumede, Sandile Lindelani Gumede, Sarah Gumede, Sithandiwe Gumede, Sithandiwe Sithabile Gumede, Thobekile Ntombikayise Gumede, Thobekile Sithandile Gwala, Fezeka Promise Hadebe, Nondumiso Euphenia Hlatshayo, Mlekeleli Hlela, Snethemba Hlongwane, Nothile Miriam Hlophe, Sianda Mbuso Khambule, Nonkululeko Khulekisiwe Khanyile, Lindokuhle Wiseman Khoza, Sindisiwe Charity Abigail Khoza, Celani Ntuthuko Khumalo, Fundiswa Namiswa Khumalo, Mdumseni Goodman Khumalo, Mpiliso Khumalo, Thabani Khumalo, Nomzamo Khuzwayo, Pilenhle Kunene, Bongekile Vikeliwe Langa, Minenhle Lembede, Simpiwe Linda, Nosihle Lukhozi, Amanda Luthuli, Mxolisi Luthuli, Innocentia Nosihle Mabaso, Gugulethu Princess Nqobile Mabuyakhulu, Taban Martin Machele. Philile Madlala. Siyabonga Magubane. Spesihle Dumisani Mahlangu. Hlengiwe Constance Majola. Njabulo Philani Majola. Snenhlanhla Thobile Princess Majola. Sabelo Makhanya. Mhlophe Nomvula Makhoba. Mhlophekazi Nokukhanya Makhoba. Sibongile Thengiwe Malwane. Thandeka Sihle Manzini. Kwanele Masango. Nokuphila Nokuthula Masango. Sfiso Madwell Masango. Dumisani Innocent Mashaba. Thobile Khanyisile Masinga. Lungelo Mathangana. Sanele Ntokozo Mathenjwa. Sanele Vusumuzi Mathenjwa. Spesihle Siduduzo Mathenjwa. Talente Sibusiso Mayise. Nokhanya Princess Mazibuko. Nondumiso Mpilonhle Mazibuko. Zodwa Mbambo. Phumzile Cynthia Mbanjwa. Zanele Siphelele Mbatha. Siphumelele Mbedu. Nqobile Nomthandazo Mbeje. Noluthando Mbele. Nelisiwe Mbotho. Sifezile Sithembile Mbuyisa. Nomcebo Mchunu. Philani Leslie Mchunu. Sibonga kuhle Happiness Mchunu. Zandile Faith Mdanda. Kosinathi Mdunge. Abongwe Methula. Londiwe Philiswa Mgaga. Sicino Mhlongo. Kwanele Silondiwe Mhlungu. Kwanele Mtshatu. Nokwanda Mtshatu. Noxolo Mkhabela. Mbalenhle Pretty Mkhize. Smiley Olwethu Mkhungo. Amanda Sandiso Mlambo. Queen Mlambo. Zenzele Amosi Mlambo. Msiza. Zimbili Pretty Mngwango. Happiness Buhle Mngomezulu. Zandile Patience Mngomezulu. Lamulile Samukelisiwe Mnguni. Londeka Lunga Mnguni. Noxolo Nomthandazo Precious Mnyango. Nomcebo Nontethelelo Munyango. Sibonga Inhlanhla Bathabile Mpontshane. Khayakazi Mqiqwa. Bongiwe Mthembu. Sinakile Nozipho Mthembu. Siyabonga Mthembu. Sinenhlanhla Mthembu. Talent Kethukuthula Mthembu. Lindile Siyamthanda Mthethwa. Ngobani Sinethemba Mthethwa. Ntando Sibongile Mthethwa. Phila Sande Ayanda Mthethwa. Sabelo Welcome Mthethwa. Mthobis Justice Mthimkhulu. Banele Mvubu. Lerato Thembelihle Mvuleni. Nosipho Felicia Myeni. Busisiwe Snothile Nqanana. Sibonelo Moses Ncube. Nobuhle Beauty Ndima. Amen Ndlovu. Mabusi Nomvelo Ndlovu. Ndumiso Ntuli. Nomkhosi Xolile Ndlovu. Nokwethemba Sizakele Ndwandwe. Nothando Gugu Ndwandwe. Vamile Nokukhanya Ndwandwe. Zinhle Newlander Nene. Sinta Samukelisiwe Ngcobo. Lihle Otigel Ngcobo. Nompumelelo Londi Ngcobo. Sanelisiwe Charity Ngcobo. Nomzamo Happiness Ngcongo. Nosipho Happiness Ngema. Xolile Sinenhlanhla Ngonyama. Cebile Ngubane. Sandile Mncedisi Ngubane. Sithabile Ngubane. Yenziwe Felicia Ngwenya. Wait for your name. Pause. Lihle Ndumiso Nkambule. Fisiwe Nokuphila Nkwanyana. Lungelo Nkwanyana. Mana. Nomcebo Bonginhlanhla Nkwanyana. Silindokuhle Nkwanyana. Nxuseni Ntsele. Lungile Nontathelelo Ntimbane. Nokulunga Siphelele Ntombela. Khayelihle Wiseman Tshangase. Welile Ntshangase. Zandile Beauty Tshangase. Bongani Christian Ntuli. Kholeka Ntuli. Bonginhlanhla Ndlovu. Nelile Cynthia Ntuli. Londa Menwabisi Nxumalo. Mpheni Sandiso Nxumalo. Phindile Maureen Nxumalo. Sanele Nxumalo. Siphelele Nxumalo. Zibuyisile Nxusa. Qalukwenzani Purity Nyawose. Nonsika Gugulethu Nyembe. Fundiswa Emelda cebiswa inkosi Nzuza. Ura. Sphokazi Silindile Radebe. Bongani Phesi Sangweni. Linda kancane. Fortunate Gugulethu Sangweni. Sifiso Shamase. Mxolisi Justice Shandu. Phesihle Patricia Shabane. Zethembe Assurance Shandu. Phumlile Shazi. Ngene boxini. Cebile Shezi. Siphiwe Sonto Shezi. Lungelo Sibiya. Nokwanda Sibiya. Thobani Sibiya. Thobani Henry Sibiya. Yima. Welile Silindile Sikhakhane. Zanele Sikhakhane. Nomfundo Priti Sikhosana. Makhosazane Simelane. Ayanda Buhle Sithole. Zandile Sithole. Nontokozo Nondumiso Tembe. Spesihle Sangenele Ntembe. Andile Spesihle Thabete. Nkanyiso Mduduz Morgan Thethwayo. Nompilo Zamile Thwala. Sisipho Tobo. Nontobeko Vilakazi. Lungisani Vilane. Anita. Anita Voyi. Happiness Mbali Xaba. Mcini Sicelo Xaba. Lizwi Xolo. Ayanda Sithabile Xulu. Okay. Spesihle Nokuphila Xulu. Mzunawo Phiwa Ngesihle Yimba. Zeka. Athenkosi Zeka. Yanga Zithulele. Lethiwe Zama Zondi. Nokuphiwa Nokwanda Zondo. Thembelihle Lindiwe Zulu. Slondile Zungu. Thembelihle Thembisile Zungu. Vukani Zungu.
ngabe izindle zodaka
noma ngabe izindle zodaka
hey noma ngabe izindle zodaka
noma ngabe izindle zodaka
mntanami kusekhaya la kusekhaya la
noma ngabe izindle zodaka
hey noma ngabe
Okay, teachers, order in the staff room, please. Acting Chancellor, I am pleased to present to you the Faculty of Education's recipients of the Vice Chancellor's Top Achievers Awards. The students are Kumalo Zanele, Bachelor of Education Foundation Phase, Nompilo Mvubu, Foundation Phase, Nkosing Pile Telezi, Foundation Phase, Nogwanda Ulu, Foundation Phase. Please come forward. Bazali, labantwana bangonywa uthisha omkhulu wala enyuvesi esimbiza ngo Vice Chancellor ngokusebenza okuvelele kusukela abaqala baze bazoqeda. Ubanone mask, khumuli mask ma, khumuli mask.
Aye, bothisha endlini, aye. Aye, bothisha basha, aye.
Acting Vice Chancellor, Prof. X Mtose. The acting, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The acting Chancellor, Prof. Mtose. The acting Vice Chancellor, Prof. Siepe. Chairperson of Council, Ms. Kaluza. Deputy Vice Chancellors present. The Registrar's Office. Esteemed Senate members present. Members of the Executive Management present. Dean of the Faculties. Dean of Students. Our keynote speaker. Mr. Mugwena Maluleke, unobhala wenhlangano enkulu yothisha enyunyana isathu. The academic staff members of the university, the president of convocation in absentia, and members of the convocation present, revered representatives of Kwamkwanazi Traditional Authority, and all members of staff present today, SRC President, and all members of the SRC present, the University Choir, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. And I reserve a special greetings, ladies and gentlemen, for our graduates from the Faculty of Education. Siyanibongela, siyanhanalisela. It is such a pleasure to share in the intensity of emotions, feeling this vein. As you are graduating, close this chapter of your life story. Parents, bazali, bethu, you are probably wondering where the years have gone. As you marvel at your sons and daughters' accomplishments, it doesn't seem that long ago when these young adults we honor today were toddling off to start kindergarten. Of course, living through those years between primary schooling, kindergarten, and graduation may have seemed like an eternity for the students and for some parents as well. Allow me to convey heartfelt congratulations and gratitude to all our parents who today took their time and came to support us with their prayers, with the belief that they have shown us throughout our journey in pursuit of these qualifications that are conferred to us today. Graduate, you are the class of 2021. You graduate in a century still in its infancy. At a time in history when our world is dealing with enormous challenges of COVID-19 pandemic, high levels of unemployment and inequality, perennial GBV incidents, and so on and so on. At a time when the opportunities created by those challenges have never been greater. Innovation, creativity, and always thinking out of the box and venturing in areas like entrepreneurships seems to be the only hope for our future. Today we are gathered here to celebrate a journey of a black child. The journey that has been filled with challenges deriving from the poor background. Yet we are gathered today to celebrate the victory of hard workers. We are joining hands with young people from the dusty streets of our country to celebrate this enormous victory. We rejoice because it has never been easy for us as young black children, growing up in a society characterized by anti-education stereotypes and drug abuse and many other challenges faced by our young people in our country and in our society in general. But we know that education is the answer to all prevailing challenges of our epoch. Let me repeat this. But now we know that education is the answer to all the challenges faced by us as young people. Education has the power, ladies and gentlemen, to change our world and to transform our past into a better future. It has the power to advance our social and economic potential. Education is everything. Young people, let it not end here. We must challenge one another to take a fight against the high rate of unemployment and other ills, because I believe that it's us young people, young educated people who have the responsibility to take this country forward. The late President Rolihlahla Mandela was a firm believer of the power of an educated mind and had once shared these words, close and open and close quotes. It is not beyond our power to create a world in which all children have access to a good education. Those who do not believe this have small imaginations. As this SRC, ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy that we've achieved this great milestone together. We wish you all the great success with your dreams and careers ahead. And also allow me to leave you with this positive thought from Vernon Howard, when he says, "When always walk through life as if something new to learn and will learn. Today marks the end of one chapter, but also marks the beginning of a new chapter. Therefore, we must keep learning, keep rising. In conclusion, I must comment that this important celebration of such a special milestone marks the next phase of our lives and our future. And of course, such achievements and success have been possible through the strong academic leadership and management of this great institution, ongoing. And again, ladies and gentlemen, as young people, we must challenge ourselves to be ahead and to be aware of what is happening in our midst. The high numbers of unemployment must encourage us to further our learning. We must study, study, and study. I congratulate you and I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Allow me to acknowledge and greet the Acting Chancellor, Professor Mtose, the Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Siepe Unizulu Management, academic and support staff, the council members who are present in this graduation, President of the Convocation in absentia, Mr. Nkwanyan, representatives from the Mkwanazi Traditional Authority and all other local traditional authorities that may be present here. The University SRC representatives, President and SG, the guest speaker, Mr. Malulege, mayors and local municipality special guests, business partners, parents, guardians, sponsors, and relatives. But most importantly, allow me to also acknowledge and greet with excitement these teachers, the graduates. In the morning, I did share with you, especially those who were here in the morning session, that in fact I was reminding the Vice Chancellor's award recipient, and I want to do the same even with these teachers that were being awarded here, to inform them that as they will, and some of them have already joined the rest of the teachers in the field, they must know that there are also awards there. The good work they were doing here in this university in the past 4 years, they must continue doing that to ensure that this year and the years to come, we see them being awarded with the National Teaching Awards. I'm standing here on behalf of the University Council just for the vote of thanks. And I want to foreground the vote of thanks on the understanding that the most loved thing in the whole world remains education, as there's consensus that education is powerful and education is emancipatory, education is developmental and can be used to temper with the status quo. A graduation signifies many things. It signifies growth, it signifies progress, it signifies transformation, and all these three things are beautiful, they are good. And I believe that all of us here, especially the graduates, will want to associate with these three things: progress, growth, transformation, and that is what this graduation is giving to you. I'm honored to share this momentous occasion with you. It's your graduation. This graduation is validation of your hard work and dedication through a perilous global pandemic. And that is why, as the University Council, we want to congratulate you. This graduation is placing you in a good state to navigate through the challenges of life. But we want to remind you the importance of staying focused on your goals. Otherwise, the time, the effort, the money that you have spent in this university will just be a waste, and we don't want that. Your journey as a student may come to an end today and this afternoon with this graduation. You must never stop learning. That is why I fully agree with the words from the SG. Never stop learning, for your success should be the springboard to greater success. Coming closer to thanking everyone, the role players who have made sure that despite all the challenges, including the prevalence of the pandemic, but they've collectively worked to ensure that they deliver this ceremony, which is, in my view, is a success. These are the Vice Chancellor. Thank you so much for executing this task of being the acting Chancellor in the absence of the Chief Justice Uzondo, who's the Chancellor of this university. You have done so well. It is as if you are the Chancellor yourself. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Siepe, the same thing. You are behaving as if you are the Vice Chancellor. Thanks. The deans of the respective faculties, especially this Faculty of Education, Ntombela, Office of the Registrar, the academics of this university, the Communication and Marketing Division, Protective Services Division, sihlala sikhululeke siyazi uba siphephile because nikhona, Information and Communication Technology Division, the Physical Planning and Operations Department, Sister Mkwanazi with her team, your health services, the cleaners of the university, the SRC, and all of you, abazali, kakhulukazi, the sponsors, and everyone who made sure that they contribute towards the completion of your studies as you have graduated today. Also, I want to thank Mr. Maluleke for the profound speech that you have delivered. And like I said in the morning, I believe that you have done your best in terms of connecting these new teachers, novice teachers with the workplace. Siyathemba kuba niyoqhubeka kumsebenzi wenu Maluleka nibanecharishe going forward. Also, Dr. Bekani Buthelezi. Dr. Bekani Buthelezi, thank you so much. The choir of this university for always ensuring that you bring that which defines the University of Zululand. A graduation is not a funeral. A graduation is a celebration of hard work, and that you have done ngendlela ebabazekayo from the beginning kuze kuzoba yimanje. Thank you so much, and my apologies for not acknowledging you. Lastly, I want to congratulate you, graduates, new teachers, novice teachers, whatever they call you, but you'll remain the workers of the mind. Thank you so much, and must continue doing the good work. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby declare this graduation ceremony officially closed. On behalf of the congregation, I would like to thank you and for your presence in this ceremony. Thank you. Zitishari, ndicela nuhloniphe umthandazo wesizwe lo. Anikwazi ukuthi kusenziwa i-national anthem niphithizele, nithathe ii-cellphones nenze yonke into. Uba nihloniphi ngoku umthandazo wesizwe, andiyazi ukuthi isizwe sethu siya kuphi. Ndicela niyenze loo nto next time. Senimoshile namhlanje, but ngomso nazi ukuthi kuyahlonitshwa ngeli xesha.
Come to